Welcome to the Soul Star Podcast with your spiritual besties, Allie and Mandy. We're here to make your spiritual journey fun, relatable, and inspiring. So let's raise your vibe and ignite your soul together.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soul Star Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another episode and another week. We are so happy to be here and so grateful that you show up with us and that you listen. So thank you. Yeah. Allison, I wanted to ask you, it's been a while since I asked you, but how has class been going with your students? Because if you're new to our podcast, Allie teaches you how to understand your clairs. Like, what is your strongest clair? How do you access it? How do you receive messages and guidance and then practice it? So it's a 6-month journey that's full of like healing and awareness and attunements and understanding and activation. And you really go from like not knowing to like reading energy. And you could do readings if you wanted by the end.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love it. We had a great class this week. So we are at the stage of going into the Akashic Records.
Ooh, so you get to learn how to read the Akashic Records.
Yep. And this week was going in and, viewing past lives for each other. So the students would go in and, and they did actually you can go in and just see general, or you can ask specifically. So like both of them wanted, or like most of them wanted to do like, I'm going to just think of the two that I was listening to, and they wanted to go in about their spouses, just to understand any past lives, or like they've been told from, past readings that they've had multiple past lives. So they wanted to kind of see that and understand it. So, it was like anything. We doubt ourselves, right? I think that's the ribbon throughout the whole journey. Is, oh God, like it's like you get to a new thing and it's like, I don't know if I can do this, or I didn't practice, or I did and I couldn't do it, and like it's all this self-doubt, and which is completely normal. One of the students was really just struggling with the vibration of getting there.
Getting in there.
Yeah. So like obviously with the Akashic Records, it's a higher dimension, and you have to be able to like lift your energy up to that. And sometimes our energetic, like our bodies, it feels weird. It feels like, for me, if I'm accessing, a very high frequency, it will feel in my body like anxiety.
Yeah.
Like,
and uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable. I'm anxious. Am I having a panic attack? Like, what's going on? But I've only been able to understand that by different experiences of connecting to higher vibrational beings, or, the Akashic Records, whatever. So this was happening, very normal. So what was really great was I gave some tips on, what to do to kind of get there. Cause I think she kind of was like, I can't, if I'm there, I can't stay there long enough to read a past life, type of thing. So, looking at that of being like understanding, when you can kind of understand that energy shift. And I'm like, okay, so if you get yourself there, one, maybe go slowly. Right. So you're kind of raising your vibration. Let's go slowly, take breaks, right? Allow your body to alchemate to this frequency, instead of it being just like boom, boom. And then you're like, your nervous system is like, what the hell? And of course you're going to shut down. The other part was like, once she's in there, like to just sit in it. Don't do anything, just sit in it and allow yourself just to get those energies through you, right? And then going into the past life, and again, like however long you can do it, right? Like it's like when you're doing anything that's new, if you're doing like running, like you're not going to all of a sudden just be like, I have the endurance and I can just run and I'm all good. You're going to take breaks, or you're going to be like, I can only do 10 minutes and I'm done, right? Like that's fine. So I was really curious to see how it went. And she came back and like, it worked. Like she was like, yeah, I like stayed in it longer. She got the past life stuff. Which I was like, oh my God, like these are like like it's just so exciting to
Yes.
witness this. And yeah, and then the past lives that were being shared, like, because again, like, we know you go into a past life and you're like, how do you validate this? Sometimes you're like, I feel stupid. I feel like I'm making up a fictional story. So right, like, it's totally,
you're watching like a past life when they were like an elephant or a lion. I saw past life recently where it was like you were the lion and you were the lioness, and there, you know what I mean? And
Me?
it was like, no, not you. The person
okay. I was like, what? I'm
I was
like,
doing
geez.
it for a friend, and I was sharing. I was like, you were a lioness. And
Oh my God, that's so funny.
But you're right. Like, you're just like, this is so random and so strange. But this is what I
and
received.
we definitely they didn't go the strange ones. They did human ones, but it can be everything and anything.
Yeah.
And like, and that's where I kind of even prefaced it. I was like, guys, I'm like, guess what? This is past lives. There's no way to get it wrong. I'm like, because the person's not going to know. It's not like you're going to go and say like, da, 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 da. And then they're like, no, that didn't happen. It's going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Right. So I'm like, this is like to like let go of the fear of it. But
which is the beauty of the practice circles, because you're in a safe space, you're being validated, or you're being coached by somebody who's experienced all of it, and giving you these tips in order to be able to push past some of the boundaries that you might be placing in front of yourself or experiencing in general. So that's I love the practice circles are so good for that.
It is. And that's the thing. Everybody's practicing. Everybody's new. Everybody's at different levels. And, one of the girls was like, okay, like, I just want to preface, I may not get anything. So I just feel bad. And in this, what I always say, I'm like, everybody signed up to practice. They didn't sign up for the readings. They didn't sign up for the information. They signed up to practice. So the expectation is the practice, not what you're receiving. So you're not letting anybody down. In that sense, right?
Yeah.
So no, it was beautiful. I'm like, and it was actually like, this is a part about past lives that I love, because how many times do we say like, like, how are you going to validate it? Validation still comes out so much, and there was so much validation over just certain parts of the readings that they're like, oh my God, I love boats, and I've been obsessed with this, and all these things. Like, there was so many crossover validations that I'm like, it was just, I was flying high.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyways, are you going to be opening up another cohort? Because I know typically this one will be coming to an end in March, right? So are you going to do another cohort in March?
Absolutely. I'm like, as long as there's interest, I want to do that. Right. Okay. I love holding the space and seeing people grow and push themselves.
Good. So if anybody's interested in learning more about your next cohort, is it on your website yet?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. So check out theluminantsoul.com soon. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I totally we didn't chat about this before we came on, so I'm totally putting Allison on the spot. So I'm sorry, but now I'm going to add the pressure to get it on your website so that
that's good.
Start registering or putting their name on a wait list or something like that, because it's such I don't know. I feel like there's so many people that are ready to really tap into their intuition and understand it, and then start practicing it so that they can trust it.
Absolutely. And it's like, it kind of ties into what we're talking about today, because I've been listening to the Telepathy Tapes podcast.
And Allie doesn't listen to podcasts, so this one has her hooked.
This one has me hooked. It's my first podcast that I
listen to our podcast.
No, I'm in it. I'm talking.
I don't listen anymore either.
You used to listen, I know, and I'm like, no, I just
because I would crack up at our when we meet each other. I always laughed back when I listened because we're so funny.
I love that you would laugh back. The times that I have listened, because I would have to find clips, right? So that's the only thing I listen to is when I find clips. And I've definitely been times where I'm like, what the? And I'm like, we're ridiculous. And it makes me laugh. So I'm like, we laugh at ourselves too. So after our special guest last week,
Yeah.
Alex Stefan, and talking about telepathy and telekinesis and all that stuff. And I'd started to listen to the telepathy tapes because he works closely with one of the mothers who was on the telepathy tapes. Her daughter was interviewed on it. So I was like, you know what? And I don't know about for you, but telepathy tapes has been in my field of awareness this whole year. Like it has, I
Wait,
thought
the whole year as in like January or like last 12 months?
Yeah, for the past month. No, I'm kidding. No. I'm like, no. I'm like, I think whenever it came out, like I think it came out last January. I don't know when it came out, but it hasn't been, crazy long. But it's been like coming into my awareness all the time. Whether I'm seeing like that, the picture of the podcast, like I just knew instinctively, and it's been like referenced, all of these things. And I guess I assumed everybody kind of knew this. Not one person, because now that I'm hooked, not one person that I've gone and I've said it to a lot of people. Because you know me, once I'm like, what? I'm like telling everybody. So my like acupuncturist, my massage therapist, like everybody, my boss. And so not one person heard about it.
What?
And so in my head, I was like, what? It's been in my awareness like so many times. I'm like, how do you not know about this? I'm like, it's all over the place. And it's not. It was shocking to me. It was shocking. But now I want everybody to listen to it because it's so amazing. So basically the telepathy tapes is, there was a neuroscientist that kind of, I stumbled across this or was like looking into this, like, with, non-speaking autistic individuals, and that they were kind of seeing, like, parents were kind of slowly coming forward to say, like, I think that they're reading my mind. Like, I think my son is reading my mind, or I think, that there's more intellect there than maybe we're being led to believe. So, from the outside world, people are viewing this individual that they can't speak. Sometimes they don't have full control over their motor skills. And, the perception is that, I don't know, they're slow. The perception, I guess, has been
they're disabled.
That their intellect isn't there, or like vacant in the brain. Like these are all things that they have said when being interviewed. And so, and when this started happening, when they kind of was like, actually, no, they're very much there and very intellectual. They were able to kind of like move through where I guess the non-speaking spellers, they call them. So using like keyboards and stuff to get these words
to communicate.
Through. Yeah. So basically taking somebody who can't communicate to communicate in a different way. And what was coming out was like, wow, like, whoa. And I think I'm just like, I think for me, when I started listening, because I had read my niece who's autistic, high functioning autistic. So she's verbal, but speech impairment, I would say. So it's just not always easy to understand what she's saying. And I had read her energy a few years ago and really had kind of seen.
Wait, didn't you read it before she was diagnosed as being on?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, because I remember it was kind of like there was like we knew
she was
that
being
there was
tested.
Yeah.
I remember you read her, or maybe around the time that she was going to go get tested, or they were thinking about testing her.
Probably, because like it's been her whole life that they've been in speech therapy and stuff, but it was kind of like the autistic diagnosis or testing was just not like available. And then finally it was like, okay, like we're going to pay to have this done because we want to know. So when I'd read her energy, it was like they showed it to me that her energetic body, her soul, kind of like hovered above her body, And it did that because she was so high vibrational, and it felt so dense and uncomfortable, like you say, like the itchy sweater, like to be integrated into her body. So there's kind of this like separate, it's like her soul is like trying to get closer to that higher vibration than being in this. And I was like, oh, I'm like, her soul this is her first time on earth. And I was like, she's not a new soul. So it was like, don't mistaken that for like not an old soul, but it was like her first time on earth, and it was very uncomfortable. And then they were showing me, because she's very much like, you know, she'd be bare feet in the grass, in the mud, go looking for frogs, looking for snakes, like in nature all the time. When she was younger, like it was a battle to get her to wear clothes. She did not want to, like her natural state was, you know, like that, very sensitive to physical touches. So like, I remember camping with my sister, and she had a mosquito bite, and they put on like that after bite stuff. It was as if you put inferno fire on her leg. Like it was like, you know, and it was kind of like, you know, maybe somebody on the outside might be like, okay, calm down. It's not that bad. But it's like, you can clearly see like, oh no, her senses are super heightened.
Yeah.
And I think through our journey and through talking with different people and listening to things, I was kind of like, wait a minute. I just started to get this feeling like, I feel like, you know, individuals that have been diagnosed or labeled as autistic, I'm like, I think we've got it wrong. I'm like, I think they are the evolved human.
Absolutely.
But they don't fit into our box. You know, box. And so in our box, they're not fitting into how like people should be. And then we look at that as like, okay, like you need more help, or you're less than, or whatever it is, disabled, whatever it is. But I was like, wait a minute, I feel like there's so much high vibrational that they are actually the way we should be. Like we should be moving to the way they are. And if we shifted our world a little bit, or if we allowed how they interact and think, if we allowed that paradigm to happen, like if we allowed and worked with it, I think we would then see a completely different viewpoint of it. Yeah. And so I kind of felt that for a while. And so then listening to these, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's exactly that.
It validates
100%.
Everything that you received and that you were feeling when you read For Grace.
Yeah. Oh, it was just, it just like hit me, and I was like, and then it was like, it's confirmed that these individuals, like, they are higher beings. These are higher, very intellectual souls here to create the new human.
Yeah.
And that was, I just was listening before we came on here. And that was something one of the individuals had said, where he had said, people think that I'm not intellectual. He's like, in reality, I'm brilliant. Like, this is what he was saying. I would be considered brilliant. And that he's like, we are here to, you know, help evolve into the new human.
And I think what happens, I just got goosebumps. I'm just thinking of some other people, like parents that I know that have children on the spectrum, and they struggle in the school system because they don't fit into the box of the system, right? And it makes the child feel shameful that they aren't doing things the same as their peers, or they're not able to do things as their peers are. And then an added layer of that shame happens when the parents are giving them extra help or support with like EAs or like educational assistants or some sort of like support worker, or doing extra classes outside of school time in order to make sure that they're at the same level of their peers, instead of what we should be doing is trying to figure out how they learn the best and amending how we teach to how they learn, right?
100%.
so that's, I think that's where we have it wrong. And I think that's where things will shift. And I'm hopeful things will shift. Like for your niece, she's clearly connected to the the nature and the outside realms and the fairy realm and like all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And if there was a teacher that had her and a group of kids like her that just wanted to be outside, working with nature, working with the elements, working with the fairy realm, like connecting with plants and animals and water and all that sort of stuff. Like if there was her and a group of her peers that did the same things, like could you imagine how their gifts would blossom and how they would feel like they were a part of this world and that they were actually making a difference in this world as opposed to being different and, the opposite and not, I don't know how they
not
feel,
but fitting into that, like what it should look like. And and 100%, I'm like, you've taken, it's like trying to fit a square into a round circle. Like it doesn't, it's not going to happen. So you can keep shoving it in there and trying and and you're basically breaking it down to fit it into this, that it's never meant to fit into this. And then you have behaviors that come out of that because they're going against their natural state of being, right? We know what happens to us when we go against our natural state of being, when we are in flow with where we're meant to be, when we are riding that current, like we've talked about, then things kind of like progress nicely and easily. When we're not, we're having nervous system breakdowns where, depression, anxiety, all of these things, like our body, we start addictions, everything, we start to break down. So, you're taking somebody who they're not meant to fit in to this educational system and we're forcing it. And then you're having outbursts. Of course you're having outbursts. Yeah. Because that's not how they're meant to be. They're just reacting, and I'm like, I don't know, like listening to these tapes, it was something I always knew, but then it like brought it from like the back of my mind to the front where I'm sitting there going like, it's just so clear as day. And I'm like,
I was actually thinking about your niece the other day and I was like, I wonder if we could teach her how to connect, like animal communicate. She's so connected to animals. I wonder if we could take her and spend some time with her and what you do in class. I bet she's doing it. I bet she's doing it too, but
I bet she's doing it.
I bet you're right. I bet she's doing it. Maybe she does know it. She just hasn't said anything.
Well, or she has in a certain way, but then people like maybe when she was younger, right? Like she was nonverbal for a long time when she was younger. And I think like this is where these kids, these individuals, because not all of them are kids, these individuals that are the parents or the caretakers are discovering, oh my gosh, like they can read my mind. And this has been proven like over and over, like the podcast goes over all different testing and things and an array of things where people have just been like telling their stories of like, holy crap, it's undeniable. But giving these individuals who are nonverbal a voice through, writing, through typing, through this, they're like, I've been doing this my whole life. I've been reading the minds my whole life. It's never been anything other than that. And what's so crazy, like you just see me get all hyped up, like what? This is what I'm like with everybody. And so this one individual, when his mother realized like that he's been reading her thoughts, or has not like, because you think of it as like intruding, but has been just receiving it, like has just received her thoughts. She kind of said that she was like mortified at the beginning because she's like, oh my God, I've had thoughts like I hate autism, or like this is so hard, normal things that you're going to have. And she was mortified to think that her son could hear this. And then then she's, like, 'cause this opens up doors. Like, now you're sitting there going like all these things. This person that you did not know as like a speaking folk, didn't really know him, are now learning everything about him.
Yeah.
And he divulged that he also heard and had to hear his, I don't know if his stepfather or boyfriend or whatever, I guess, was an abusive individual to his mother. He was subject to hearing all the thoughts, all the plans, all of that. Yeah.
Not being able to say anything.
No, because there was nothing given for him to be able to vocalize this. And then it came out later that he also knew of things that this individual was doing to another family member. And that came out like actually true later, but like he knew all of it and couldn't. It was just, he couldn't say anything.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
And I'm like, it's crazy. Like, I was like,
That's tough. That would be so tough. Like, wait, do you see my hole in the wall?
oh yeah, so
I'm
embarrassing.
trying to hide it with my head,
But then you're like, there it is.
So I painted just so people know, if you're watching this, I painted my office and I moved my desk from that wall to this wall.
Yeah.
And there was an issue with the wall. So we had to patch it. And then I was painting though, and then it wasn't dried for me to like sand it. So I just haven't got back to it yet.
Wow.
I was going to cover it with a picture. Yeah, I was going to cover it in the picture, but then it would have been off-centered. So
oh my God.
I'm just trying to hide it with my big head.
With your big head, your little peanut head.
Yeah.
Little peanut head.
Yeah. I was okay. So back to the telepathy tape. So I was listening to, I've only been able to listen to one episode so far, but I'm also into it and hooked. So it's really fascinating because a lot of what they talk about, it's like, yes, and you're like celebrating over here. But I listened to the second, I think it was the second episode because
why did you start from the first?
I feel like I started the first.
A psychopath move.
I feel like I started the first a long time ago, but I don't remember it.
Okay.
So I just started on episode 2.
That's psycho to me.
I know. So anyway, I was listening to, and the story is about a boy, and he, the testing about reading his mom's thoughts and stuff like that. And one of the comments that he made was like, I didn't know that he was frustrated because he was saying hi to his classmates, but they weren't saying hi back. So he was frustrated, but he was saying hi in his mind through like telepathy, and he didn't understand why they couldn't hear him. So he was frustrated that they weren't responding to him. And so when they asked further about this, he said something like, well, in my world, we don't speak verbally. We communicate telepathically through our thoughts. And then the people who were testing him was like, oh, they were focused on like, who is the we? Because they just assumed that in his world, he meant this world. And I was like, no, ask him about what world he's from.
What world
he's So I was like, just, you're asking the wrong question. So, but I guess like later in the tapes, they discover more and more about different worlds and stuff like that.
Well, and I actually think it's both. So for him, because it's both. So definitely further on, they talk about where they're like, yeah, there's other realms. Yeah, we're not from here. Yeah, we're all these things. But when I think what he's saying when he's talking about his world is like him and other nonverbal, they communicate with each other all the time. So through this podcast, they found out that these children, these individuals were knowing things about somebody that lived in the UK, and they would be like, how do you know about Harrison or whatever? And they're like, because we talk. And so one thing that they found out very, very soon into it was they go to a place called the Hill. This is what they call it. So
it's like when we go into meditation, we go to a place of nature. So they do too. They call it
and
the Hill.
Meet there. They meet there.
See, I fucking love that. We should try that.
I know we should try.
Let's go to the Hill tonight.
Let's go. I was like, when they were saying this, it was like, yeah, we go to the Hill. And what was like, again, like as these researchers were going, they would have parents saying these things, and they wouldn't tell them that they'd heard it, in their last one or anything like that. And all of a sudden, like through these interviews, that's how they realized that all these parents started talking about the hill. And they're like, okay, wait a minute, how does all these people know about the hill? And then that's when they dug further and realized that, so when he says like, in my world, it's like, yeah, because in his world, he's communicating with tons of people. Yeah. They are, going to the hill, and they have conversations, and they laugh, and they hang out. And I was like, holy shit, like, how is that any different than, you and I connecting to a client and pulling their energy forward and reading it? You are just in a different dimension.
Yeah. It's not different at all.
It's not different at all. I've had, when you have like conversations in a way, like there's times that, like, when you've pulled forward somebody's energy, and sometimes they'll come forward and they'll talk to you.
Yeah.
But right.
Their soul. So I guess for us, we're talking to their soul, and they're doing it. They're connecting to us subconsciously, like not consciously, where, because there's that disconnect between our human self and our soul self. So we who are more integrated on planet Earth, and who are integrated into this dense body, there is a disconnect between our higher self, like our soul self, and our human self. So sometimes when we do readings, we're talking to the soul self, not the human self. And each version has different answers and different experiences to share with us. And that can be frustrating when we're reading, because often when we're talking to the soul self, it's a very philosophical answer, and I guess guidance on what the person could do or should do, or whatever messages we have. And then when we relay that to the human self, it doesn't land as well. As well as it could have if the communication came from the human version. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, yeah, because I feel like when we're in there, we're talking to the higher self, which is your higher self is on the other side. Your higher self is in what we call heaven, the soul world, whatever it is. So of course they would have that higher philosophical part. And then we also talk to, I guess, the part of the soul that's on earth. Right. So like that part that's on earth that has the human amnesia in that sense. And so I'm like, yeah, there's been many times that I've gone in and like somebody's energies come forward and they're talking to me like, and again, this is all clairaudiently. Same as these individuals, like it's clairaudient. It's actually all of it. I was just listening to the one, and they're saying like it's kind of like once you're connected that way, it's either you hear their voice sometimes.
Yeah. It's
your own voice a lot of the times. You see images, you just have feelings, all of these things. So it's all of the clairs. It's just how they're interacting. The one individual that I was just listening to, he had said like he gets frustrated having to be a speller. He's like, it's so much easier if we just do it telepathically, like it's just fast.
Yeah.
And he's like, but then having to, because I guess his mother, or maybe his care worker, I forget, she's like, we talk telepathically. She's like, but I have doubt, and I doubt myself. So then I have to go and on the pad say like, is this what you're meaning? So it's kind of like, it's our, fault, like our capabilities. That is like keeping it, and they're having to be patient with us to catch up.
Well, in a way, it's kind of like learning a new language. So you have to, or even learning how to read energy in general. Like there's going to be an integration period and a period of practice so that you begin to trust what it is that you're saying or receiving or doing. But I imagine it would be similar to, I've never learned a new language. I'm just English. That's it. So I'm not special.
You would have learned French in school.
A little bit of French, but that took years, right? Like that's like awful. Every year you learn a little bit more. So I imagine learning a language is going to take a lot of time. And then you also have to be integrated into that language to really get it. Like if I was learning French and I'm only talking French like to nobody once in a while, do you know what I mean?
You're not going to Yeah.
to France or Montreal or something like that, and I'm speaking French all the time, then I'm going to learn it faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I found really fascinating, like I feel like I could talk for hours on this. One thing I found really fascinating was some individuals that are nonverbal that need to, spell it out on these like computer keyboard type of things. The ones that also don't really have a lot of control over their body. So this is where the controversies kind of come in, where they've kind of like banned it from school or where it's like, no, this isn't working, or we're not using this, because sometimes parents have to like, touch or help assist them on the keyboard, right? So there was this, thought that, oh, you're just putting in what you want, like you're guiding them to where you want the words to go and all of these things, right? And so I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see that. But how they explained it is so the individual's like, I don't perceive my hands. I don't perceive that I have hands. I don't perceive that I have feet. They're like, they're not aware of it. They don't know it's there. But when somebody places a hand on them, it's like it anchors it in to be like, oh, that's mine. And then they can use it. So when you kind of think of that as like, our souls are the infinite being, and these are just the avatars, right? They're just like the suits that we step into to do these functions, right? So like, these individuals who are telepathically, they're all connected to this, like how our natural state is. And then they're being plopped in, and they're just kind of like, okay, like, how do you use this robot? Right? Like, what do we do with this? And it totally made sense, because at first I was like, what? You can't perceive your hands? Like, that's crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine that. But then it made sense that when they said the touch then brings the awareness that then allows them to now connect the mind to the body to then be able to, use the keyboard and stuff. Like,
it would be so interesting. I'm just thinking, like, I wonder with regard to energy healings and activations and all the stuff that we do,
grounding,
to see if we could go in and help them ground more into the human body so that their experience was a little bit easier for them here on Earth. And I don't know anybody that has an autistic child that's nonverbal or unable to move or anything like that. So I don't have the opportunity to try that.
I'm hoping that on the tapes, like I'm hoping
they try that.
I'm hoping
maybe we should connect them and then be like, hey, can we try a healing?
I know. I'm like, as they were talking, when they were talking about this, all I thought was my reading back with my niece. And I was like, oh my God, she's out of her body because it's uncomfortable. Yes. And that's where like pulling it down.
Yeah. And you have the cord and you just want to like pull the cord down and anchor them into their Earth Star chakra, which is like in the earth.
Yeah, and tie them into it. And that was why, like, my niece, the reason why she was like bare feet in the forest, all these things, it's because it helped anchor her, it helped tether her soul to this body, right? To keep her in this. And so when they were talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is what maybe we're seeing. There's this, like, they're just not fully integrated, or what would that look like if we did that, like, it's just all of it. It's insane, because it's everything that we've learned, talked about, teach, all of these things. And to see like it from a different viewpoint, to see it from like, holy crap, like these individuals coming in and they're literally trying to say exactly what, Dolores Cannon's been saying, all of these things, that they're real, they're experiencing it, and this is where we're going, and they're just trying to like open this up. They have like, it's so beautiful listening to some of these like messages. And so either like they'll you'll hear like a robotic voice because they've typed it in, or they're having like a family member say what they are talking about. And they're literally, it's talking about all love, like everything is love. The frequency, the one girl was like, I only connect to people that I feel the love, like I can feel the love. So it's like they're not, going in and connecting to lower vibration. They are constantly connected to source, God, whatever you want to call, to different beings, to higher vibrational being, like all of these things. It's unbelievable, like everything that they've gone in and said. This one individual showed that he only had to put his hand on a book and received it all.
Could you imagine?
Oh, it's unbelievable. And so, and this is the thing, like, it's like we're such material into like beings, and like these individuals are even talking about this and saying this, like they see us, our humanity, and they're like, you're so stuck on this, like we need to see, we need to prove.
Narrow-minded is
so
like
narrow.
As a collective, we're very, but I think that's changing obviously with all of these, like the telepathy tapes is making huge shifts. All the people that channel like angels and ascended masters and beings of light, like that is shifting the collective consciousness. And obviously we have help with the solar flares is helping shift the consciousness.
Everything.
All the astrologers that are, like their things are changing and shifting. And this is just another aspect, another piece of the pie that is here to support.
I feel like it's more of the physical, because I feel like they're actually bringing tangibility to it, because how can you deny it? There's no way to deny when they're doing these tests and these individuals are knowing, seeing everything, right? Like you can't deny that. Like when he was talking about the book, I guess because he was connected to his care worker telepathically, and he had said, I guess she had the book, and he had said, like, what's the book about? And she was like, oh, I'm just halfway through. And so then he's like, can give it to me. So he put his hand on it, and he was able to receive up to where she read. And he was like, oh, it's this, this, this. And she was like, yeah. And then he continued, and he was able, because at first it was like, oh, okay, well, he's just reading her mind and receiving her thoughts of what was and then he continued and said, oh, and the rest is like this. And he's like, I just, and to him, it was like, yeah, I just have to put my hand there and I receive it. Like it's the natural state. They talk about the Akashic Records. I know they talk about the Akashic Records, but not saying the Akashic Records. When they were talking, I was like, that's the Akashic Records. Because they were like, I guess like the mom was saying like, yeah, she would say like, there's this, she's like, it's in the library. Anything I want to know, it's in the library. It's all documented. It's all there. And mom would be like, what are you talking about? And I was like,
it's the Akashic Records.
Like it's just it's like taking what spirituality and taking kind of that tangible, and it feels like this bridge.
I love that.
It's just amazing. And then also like for these individuals that have felt trapped, have felt misunderstood, it's now opening up these, like, and this is like they've said, like, I'm so excited to be a part of this because I finally want people to know and understand, so that I can have the better resources. I can, be looked at, like, their ability to see illness, like they are like unbelievable. Like these individuals who have been interviewed, it is like subhuman. Like it's completely stuff that you think of in these movies or whatever, and you're like, no, this is actually happening, and they're just here to try to bridge us to get there.
Yeah, and that's so frustrating that they're trapped in a body that doesn't like that
well,
isn't
they're trapped.
Able to express.
They're trapped in a body because of our systems. Do you know what I mean? Like in that sense, like, yes, they are, which is frustrating. Yes, like they're in this body and they have like things that hold them back from fully expressing. But part of me feels like part of that's been turned off for this reason.
Yeah.
Right. So like that, so they could fully access it. Just like when we've seen some students that like their clairvoyance was turned off because they wanted their other clairs to come through stronger. It kind of feels like, you know, part of that is to have them come in with some of these things turned off. So it forces us to rely into this other.
Yeah.
Right?
And I wonder when we truly do shift in frequency on like the planet Earth, like when the planet does shift in frequency, if they will also if they'll be able to express easily or easier or whatever, like how that will shift for them too. I wonder if
will.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, like more like this is the thing that they're seeing is like, you know, some of these teachers, some of these care workers are all of a sudden like, I'm telepathically talking with them. Like I have no idea, like this, they're just kind of being like, what is going on? Like, I know I just received this and it's blowing their mind. And like this one student was, this one teacher was talking about, so she worked with, you know, nonverbal autistic students. She had a classroom and this one individual came to join the class and she noticed like a shift in just the classroom, everything. And she's like, she would start to notice things like she'd be teaching and all of a sudden all of them would start giggling, but nobody had said anything. And so she just started to notice these like little things. And then she was witnessing them out playing at recess and was kind of watching something. She was like, what is going on here? Like somehow they're communicating, because what they were doing, it was like usually be like, throw the ball over here, whatever. And she started to see like, I think they're communicating telepathically because they all know. And so I guess she had like a random thought like, man, I wish I could be included. And this boy came up to her and he's like, you can, you're doing in the mind. Oh, no, I don't know. He did it out loud or he did it because some of them are like nonverbal, but verbal enough. Yeah. And he had come up and basically like said exactly what he'd heard her say. And he's like, you can, if you want to. And she was just like, what the? And just like completely changed everything.
Wow. That's so cool. I can't wait to listen to more of the tapes.
I know. I can't wait either. Okay. Well, you know, I could go on forever about this because I'm like jazzed up. I've told my sister, I said she needs to listen because I'm like, there's things throughout the series that I've heard that I've been like, oh my goodness. And I've pinned it back to my niece and been like, oh my goodness, I think this is what's happening. Oh my goodness, I think this is what's happening. And like I said to my sister, there's going to be things that she connects more than me because she lives it. And when you can understand somebody fully on why they're reacting the way they are, then you're able to shift it. I'll say one more story because this one like was a light bulb moment for me. One of the individuals, he when they were doing some of these testing and stuff like that, the interviewer saw like he put like 5 pillows on his head, right? So she was like, oh, what's going on? And the mom was like, oh yeah, so he puts this on because he says it's like 5 radio stations going at the same time and he's trying to quiet it and drown it out. And even in that session, he had said he'd asked his mom to stop thinking so loud. He can't focus. And what they realized with him, because they were doing EEGs, like mapping the brain when some of this telepathic activity was happening, and you would see a shift when it was happening. And with him, you saw no shift. And they're like, what's going on? And it's because his antenna's always open. He is always, radio station's always open. And what they were saying was, you know, like she said, there was like, he was going for a walk in the forest with a friend one time. And she's like, if anybody came across us, what they would have seen was this large boy who was, you know, being like, beep, like making noises and just so loud and all these things. And, you're going to think, okay, you're slower. You're really, no, he's trying to drown out all the radio stations. So like, I'm like sitting there going, yeah, if there was 5 radio stations full blast while I'm trying to work, what would you do? You would put your fingers to your ears and you would be like, like if you want to have something block it out, because like your nervous system would be shot.
Yes.
Overload.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense.
Doesn't that make sense? Like you would lose it. Like if my kids are all talking to me at the same time and I get to a point where I'm like, enough.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed. So this is what we're seeing. But we're not knowing the whole story. That one I was like, holy fuck, that makes sense.
That is fascinating. And I understand that in a small snippet. And I just want to say, in the past, since the beginning of February, and it's like the 4th now.
Yes.
But there has been so much intense solar activity, and my crown chakra has been so open and so active, and I can sense this intense vibration that is constantly happening up here. And to the point where I'm like, like it needs to stop, just stop. And because it's like this weird headache and there's so much activity and this weird pressure, and I'm just like overwhelmed with how active it is.
Yeah.
But obviously that's just like a 1% of what these, he was feeling or they feel on a regular basis.
Yeah. So if you're feeling like they have all these senses open that we only have a fraction open. So I think of my niece, and this is where you're seeing substance abuse because you're trying to drown it out. And she's now at that state where she's trying to drown it out with different things. And she was at a kind of like a healing facility or like, to try to get better. And she would have these reactions. So like she's kind of, been dealing with some substance abuse. And so went to like to get sober type of thing, place and
workplace.
Yep. And, you have other individuals that are having big emotions and all these things, but what they failed to keep remembering was she had autism. And so they were reacting in a way that wasn't that and they'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, we forgot that she has autism. And so she ended up like having to leave because she couldn't fit into behave the way that they needed her to behave. And I was like, you think like this girl is sitting in this home and she's feeling not just her own, but she's feeling everybody's, everything that's there that is struggling, every teen that is there that is struggling. And then somebody has an overreaction about something. It's so much for her.
Yeah.
So I was just like, there's a situation right there that fit within that. And you're like, you're trying to get help. And they're just like, yeah, no, we can't do that type of help. What the hell?
Well, change.
This is where, and so I think this is where we're like, the telepathy tapes and stuff, all of this is helping in this aspect of like, we need to shift, we need to change. Right. So
absolutely.
Oh man, I'm jazzed up.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, this is like just.
Well, it feels like it honestly, it feels like there's something's cracking open. So it feels like a part of a bigger shift, and that's exciting.
It is. It's so exciting. I love it. So everybody, leave our podcast now and go and start listening to the telepathy tapes because what?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to share something because I feel like it might be helpful for others. So as you know, I've been struggling with like why I don't feel called to do like readings or like why am I like just turning everything
why
off?
am I the way that I am?
Right? Where's my spark? Like where's my passion? What happened to it? So like, and so I'm going through this period of, it feels like integration or initiation in a sense. So I was part of the question, like, your internal voice that makes you doubt, like it's your ego or whatever. One of the things that I hear all the time is like, well, why do you like what I have to say, what I have to share, like showing up on social media specifically, is there's so many people saying the same thing. So like, why would anybody care about what I had to say, or like, what difference am I going to make when there's already so many people talking about the same thing, right? Like, what's the point? So like, why would I put that effort out when it's not going to reach the intention that I have for it, because there's so many people talking about it, the same thing. So then what I was receiving was like I was in meditation and I was connecting to this question, and what I received was this image of me walking towards like this big pond, like this big body of water. And the water represented creative, like the creatress, like creative energy, creation. So the water, very feminine energy, right? So I was standing there. And then all of a sudden I heard singing, like it felt like there was like a song happening. And then around the water was like a forest. So at the water's edge, there was like an edge where, you know, you could stand on the edge, but beyond the edge was like forest. And then all of a sudden I saw all of these lights start emerging from the forest, and all of these women were coming forward and stepping onto the water's edge to join in circle around the pond, like around the water's edge, and everybody was singing the same song. So what I was receiving was the power of the collective voice. So maybe my voice, individually, my voice might not be loud enough, but collectively with everybody else, it is loud enough, and that's what's going to create the change and create the frequency of the shift. So no, the point isn't to be an individual necessarily and to show up as an individual, but as an individual showing up in the collective, it'll strengthen the collective voice of the message that's being trying to be shared, so that the shift in consciousness around that specific topic can happen. So does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Right when you started to say it at the beginning, when you were like, what's the point of showing up and saying what everybody else is saying, it was like I didn't know where you're going with it, but I instantly received was like, because your voice is meant to affect the people that are going to be drawn to your voice, but it doesn't matter. Like everybody, it was like, some are going to be drawn to this person, some are going to be drawn to this person, or like I feel like we're also contracted of who we are drawn to, and that you're going to touch something or light something in an individual that somebody else can't light, right? And so even just with that idea of it, I saw a comment today on one of my reels, you know, like one of the funny reels, and the person had said, I just love how real you are. And I don't know this person. And I remember it just kind of hit me in that moment where I was like, yeah, like just like this person has connected with me. I was just doing what I do, but this person, there was a connection, and that type of thing. And that's like, then it has her attention on that, where somebody else might be like, what a fool, what an idiot. And they need to be looking at somebody, you know, else. And when you think of like, we talk about like light workers being across the globe, right? We see all these kind of like, and if you're a light worker and you're living in your passion, you start to glow, and that glow starts to glow outwards around you. You can't have one person in the middle of Earth glowing and expect them to glow and take over everybody. It's like we're all planted everywhere so that we grow in our own, which then is collective, right?
Yeah, and then you become part of the collective change, the collective voice, the collective message, and that's where it becomes more powerful. So in my little human mind, I was like, I'm like, I have to make an impact individually. Like, how am I going to do that? That's overwhelming. That's never going to happen. But actually, I don't. Like, I just need to be part of the message. Like my purpose isn't to be an individual. It's to be part of to be a part of the message, to be part of the collective, and to add my power and my strength behind that message, as yours is, so, and as everybody else's is, right?
Everybody else's is, and in reality, you're kind of talking about the theory of we are all one.
Yeah, we are, and
we are all one. And like in the telepathy tapes, this is what these individuals are saying, is like we're all connected. So so this aspect, if we change this over here, like it may not affect me over here per se, but it is, because we're all connected and we're all one. So same type of thing.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with anybody else who might be struggling with showing up, whether it's on social media or sharing their voice or their point of view or their perspective in their family or in their circle of friends. Because it does make a difference, because it becomes a part of the collective voice, not necessarily, your own individual voice. So it is important. It feels important for everybody to share what's on their heart. Obviously in a heartfelt way, not, jamming it down people's throats in a aggressive way, because that's not going to be received well. But the it just feels like powerful when you can connect it to that. And then also a lot of people will get stuck on like the competition or the comparison between different practitioners or different teachers or whatever. But like you said, you're meant to connect with certain people, and this person over here is going to connect with different people. But again, it's all about the collective message and the collective shift. You're not meant to do it by yourself.
Yeah. And I think in that sense too, it's like using that discernment, because yes, there's going to be individuals that may be in this space, but are not fully evolved to where there need to be that, because you see some people where you're like, oh my gosh, they're taking advantage, or whatever it is. That's within any aspect of anything. So that's, again, like giving the power back to ourselves to have discernment, to trust that who you're aligned with, that feels right. And even like when we talk about shifting from 3D to 5D, and we can see all of this hard stuff around the world, and a lot of people that are aware of this and in this space will be like, it's so daunting that I just feel like, what's the point? Because look at all of this shit. Like, what is the point? Why am I putting effort into something when all I'm seeing is this dark stuff coming forward? And that's the same aspect of using your voice. It's also using your energy to, the more you can stay in that heightened vibrational energy, the more of us that will be there. And when you have more people up leveling into this, it's going to be harder to exist in this lower frequency, right? So in a way, like, I feel like I can't do anything, but it's like, oh my God, but if you hold this, that just means you're kind of becoming front line in this war or whatever. And the more people that are in the front line and holding this, then it's stronger in numbers, right?
Yeah. And I even, like, they're just showing me right now, like, it's kind of like you're part of the recipe, the greater recipe, and you bring a certain flavor or a certain aspect to whatever's being created. Like, let's say we're making a soup and we're doing a chicken noodle soup, but you're the chicken. But if you're too
you're the chicken.
You need to get in there, right? Like, if you don't get in there, it's not chicken noodle soup. It's not gonna work. So like everybody has an important role. And that was Cody for sure.
I'm like, I love the way you describe things, like when you say juicy. I love it. It's so good.
Chicken noodle soup. But yeah, like it's true. Like if you're everybody has an important role to play. And if you don't play the role because you're scared, hello over here, then what, like, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work as well as it could work. Like, yeah, you can have chicken noodle soup without the chicken, but it's not chicken noodle soup. Then it's something different. It's not going to be as good.
It's not going to be as good. And I think on that aspect too, you don't need to know and do everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a part of that where it's like, well, like, of course I can do that. Or I want to be able to do that. Or if I can't do that, but that person can do that, then I must not be that good. And it's so that completely plays into that aspect of like, we're all individual ingredients, and what our strength is like hone in on that. We don't need to encompass all of it.
Yeah. Yes. Right? I don't need to be the carrots and the celery and the broth.
No, nobody wants to be the vegetables. I just want to be chicken. Nobody wants stupid vegetables.
No, but we need those vegetables.
Gosh, damn it. Do we? I guess we do. Yeah.
It's part of the recipe.
And the spices and everything. So you go with what? See? Why am I going to force myself to be a vegetable when I don't like vegetables? Why am I going to force myself to be a vegetable? Just stay in your lane, Allison, and be the chicken.
Right? Anyways, be the chicken. Everybody
be the chicken. Yeah. I love it. Okay, until next week. I love this conversation and I could go on forever, but we both got to go. So we will see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.